today we are starting our algebra unit, and our algebra unit, we are going to start with something called expressions. Give me 1 second to get set up. Okay, and our goal today is to be able to, our learning target is to be able to, what I would call fill in an expression with a variable and be able to get an answer, okay, or evaluate it. Now, let's start out with the word variable. And I realize this is something that you've probably done before. Variables actually started for most of you back in about first grade. And that sounds silly, but I want you to look at this. If I have something like this, back in first grade, you knew that if we fill in that triangle with a 5, then you got 5 plus 2 is 7. That's almost like your variable there. They started out back in first and second grade with like little boxes, maybe a circle or a triangle. Well, now they're going to start using letters. And those letters can be any letter of the alphabet. Okay? I will say they don't usually use an O, an I, or an L because they usually look like a 0 or a 1. And we want them to look different than our numbers out there. Okay? The weird part is any letter can stand for any number, including fractions, decimals, negative numbers, all that good stuff. But any number can also stand for any letter. So, like X isn't always 5, or Y isn't always 5. Next time it might be Z, okay? It just matters what letter they're using, okay? The next thing that we should kind of already know, a lot of this is reviewed from 5th grade, okay, is exponents. Exponents. Okay. Exponents is also used in science, and all an exponent is when you see a little number up in the corner, it is called an exponent. Okay. And that too, or the big number, is called a base. Okay. So you've got a base and an exponent. What that means, what this means is 2 to the third power means 2 times 2 times 2. You write the base that many times. And multiply is the math. So, but your brain has got to think. The answer's not 6. 2 times 2 is 4. Times 2 is 8. Exponent world, you've got to be careful. This is one of the biggest mistakes kids make. So let's say you have 5 to what they call the second power, or 5 squared. In your brain, slow down a second and say, what does that mean? 5 times 5, which is 25. It's not 10, it's 5 times 5. Does that make sense? Okay. I'm going to show you something else. Okay, let's say you have 6 to the 4th power. Okay, 6 to the 4th power. You can key it in a calculator 2 different ways. Okay, and I'm going to do my best to try to show it up here. I know that sometimes the light gets us, but you can do it the old-fashioned way if you have just a cheapy calculator. 6 to the 4th power means, if I can get this thing turned on, okay, 6 times 6 times 6 times 6. I got 4 6s. I'm hitting the equal sign, and that is right. Okay? So I could do, whoops, I hit a weird button. Sorry. 6 times 6 times 6 times 6. Okay? 1,296. Or I could do 6 times 6 equals, times 6 equals, times 6 equals, and I get the same number. Okay, the last way is if you're dying to know the handy-dandy calculator world, This is the key I have figured out. It is this weird little up button, this little arrow button right here, okay? And if you hit 6 with the little up button, I'm calling that puts it in the sky. I don't know what else to call it. To a 4, 6 up in the sky with a 4 equals, and you get the same number. So, if you want to try to use this key when you see exponents, feel free. There might be another key out there on this thing, but old lady Donahue here just has realized that one isn't, okay? Because when we were kids, we just typed it in. 6 times 6 times 6 times 6. So, okay, yeah, like 6 to the second power would be what? 6 times 6 is 36, right? Oops. Under the 1? These I'm still working with. They're not working for me yet. So there is a possibility it works. I just haven't worked it out. Okay, now the last thing is, well, actually 2 things. Here we go. We're going to clean up something else. We're going to be studying first something called expressions. And the difference between expressions and equations is, okay, we're going to be doing this, which is stuff like x plus 4. Okay? That is an expression because it does not have an equal sign. Equations are built off of equal. Notice the word equals. An equation would be something like that. They're going to have equal signs. We're starting out this week with these, with expressions, okay? So I'm just kind of throwing that out there, cleaning up some loose ends around here, okay? Listen, I'm not even on the worksheet yet. I wish you'd just pay attention to me. Okay, the next thing is, there are some different ways to show multiplication. You may have never seen some of these before. Some of you might have, some of you might not have. Okay, so back in 3rd grade, we're learning multiplication tables. We learned them to look like that with a time sign. Well, now the problem is we're introducing variables and letters. So we got to get rid of the time sign because it looks like an X, okay? The world of algebra has done this about 3 or 4 different ways. Here we go. One way is they might put a dot. And you have to know that that dot means multiply. So instead of an X, you might see a dot. Okay, the next thing is you might see 2 with parentheses around the 3. That means multiply. And I need your brain to listen and look real quick. Some of you are moving on without me. Listen. This means multiply. That does not mean parentheses, like in order of operation when we do please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. I need this to be thought of as multiply. And the reason is there's only one number inside of it. You're not doing any weird math in there like x plus 3. You're just doing 3. So think about this as multiply. That means multiplication. The last thing is when you see something like this, like 2 with a Y or 2 with a Z. I call this when there's a number and a letter crammed up against each other. I literally knock my hands together because it's like there is no symbol between that. There's no addition. There is no subtraction. There is no division symbol. So when you see, you're learning something new, a number and a letter crammed up against each other, you got to just start knowing it means multiply. It means multiply 2 times whatever Y is. Y might be 4, Y might be 18. But it would be 2 times whatever Y is. I know. And it can be any letter. It could be 2Z, could be 2A, 2B. Okay? Any letter. Now, kind of keep that in your brain because this is what you're going to start seeing. Now, the last thing you should have gotten from last year, hint, hint, is something called order of operations. And a lot of this should kind of be cleanup from last year. Okay. In the world of order of operations, I learned it as PEMDAS. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Okay. A lot of younger people, will call it GMDOS with a G. Okay. Now, either way, that stands for parentheses. Okay. Or G stood for grouping symbols, because you might even see brackets. So, the first thing you have to do in order, that's the key to this, is parentheses. So please, the P for please stands for parentheses. Okay, E stands for exponents. So like if you see 2 to the 3rd power, it stands for exponents. That is the word excuse. Please excuse. Okay? Now, my dear goes together. And I do not know how else to explain this. Some of you, this might be your confusion part. It is multiply or divide. They are together. Multiply or divide. And the key is you're going left to right. You're going to see some of this, okay? But it's multiply or divide, whatever you touch first, going from left to right in the math problem. And then the last steps are add or subtract. Okay, this is the Aunt Sally part. Okay, Aunt Sally stands for add or subtract from left to right. Okay. I'm going to say, hint, hint, that the beginning of this worksheet is one-step problems. You don't really need order of operations. But as we get to the bottom of it, you're going to see where this is the only way to get the right answer. Okay? You need to get this memorized. And if you need to put these little letters down your paper, you're going to see me doing it every once in a while just to keep our brain on the right track. Okay, now, we're going to use these notes, or use this, and we're going to do some math problems. We don't need it all right now, but we will in a second, okay? So, if you would, get out the little worksheet and get on the side with me, okay? I'm going to take it kind of slow, but I'm hoping this kind of starts you off with a good foundation of algebra. Okay, here we go. Starting out. Make sure you're on this side with me. It says evaluate each expression. Evaluate means find the answer to the expression. Notice there's no equals down here. If x equals 12. Now, they want in this first section for x to equal 12. Now, I need you to know something. Some of y'all love to be my speed demons. You cannot be. And I promise, you didn't get the mean math teacher. You got the math teacher who cares. As you go through your future years, these problems will get longer and longer and longer. And in fact, I'm going to show you one that is kind of from another class. And I want you to notice something. When you do an algebra problem, you have to show your steps. Teachers grade per step in the world of algebra, because I want you to think about 8th or 9th grade. You'll get one math problem, and the whole thing is your whole quiz grade. One problem. And it goes down, and it might go down a whole piece of notebook paper. Well, let's say you have one math problem for your whole quiz grade. Let's say it's 50 points. And you get down to the very end, and you get 29 instead of 30. Do you want a 0 on a quiz out of 50?
No.
No. Well, you just missed the problem. What math teachers do is we grade per step. So maybe up here, instead of saying 4 divided by 2 is 2, maybe you said 4 divided by 2 is 1. That teacher might only take off 1 or 2 points. Instead of you making a 0, they'll let you have like maybe a 48 out of 50 or a 45 out of 50. Thing is this, you don't show your steps, teacher can't grade per step. And I know right now you're like, oh, Miss Donahue, you're old, you don't know what you're doing. I promise, I talk to the 7th and 8th and 9th and 10th grade teachers all the time, and I say, I realize we have these handy-dandy calculators, but do you all make them show every step? And they say yes, they have to. Okay? So what I'm going to say is this, and I'd say it to your parents, obviously, because I'm recording. Get over using notebook paper. You're going to use notebook paper. Okay? Not on the front, but on the back. It takes paper. It takes neat handwriting. Okay? You got to be able to read your writing. Okay, are we ready? Here we go. Let's start with the first one. I know you're dying. Here we go. X plus 7. So what I'm saying is the first step, you have to show me where you filled in X. So if X is 12, you have to write 12 plus 7. That is the first step. There is no other first step. Now, yes, you can answer it. 12 plus 7 is 19. Also, notice I'm going down the paper. We do not go across. We go down. That's why I asked y'all to not go ahead of me. Question. You got to go down the paper. This is why I asked you to not go ahead of me. Next one. 38 minus X. X equals 12. So, first step is fill in your X. It is 12. So I'm going to do 38 minus 12. Okay, there's only one step here, so I can just do the math. 38 minus 12 is 26. No, you have to show the steps. Next one, 8 times X. Now, the way you write this, please look, is 8 times 12. I want to see parentheses. Do not put the little time sign. You could put a dot, but no time sign. Okay, 8 times 12 means the answer is 96. Okay? Yes, you should know that one. 276 divided by X, and X is 12, and the answer is 23. Okay. Now, the way you show this, number 5, X squared. X is 12, so write 12 squared. No, listen, what does 12 squared mean? 12 times 12, you don't have to write that, but I do because it makes my brain get the right answer, which is 144. If you will get your brain doing that, you're more likely to get it right. Okay, let's go to the different ones. Okay, this is the same thing, but notice, all it says is evaluate each expression for the given values of the variables. Here is the key. They want you to now be seeing different variables, W's, P's, G's, and so on. So this one says, number 6, F minus 9 if F equals 11. This is kind of like off by itself. I kind of draw a box around it to kind of throw it away, I guess. I don't know. So, if I fill it in, yes, 11 minus 9, and it is a one-step problem, and I'm done with the answer 2. So, yes, we're starting out super easy. I get that. Okay, here we go. P is 23. So, 23 plus 16 is 39. Because I'm just filling it in. 23 goes there, plus 16 is 39. Okay, looking at number 8. 25 minus G if G is 12. 25 minus 12, and I get 13. Thank you. My brain is falling apart all of a sudden. Good on that one? Showing all your steps. Is anybody lost? I do not mind helping. Okay. Please don't go ahead of me. Okay, which one? I'm not there yet. Give me a second. I promise. I'm going to teach you. I promise. Okay. Number 9. Let's look at that one. 8W if W equals 7. Okay? So, it literally means 8 parentheses 7. 8 times 7. Which is 56. Yes. So that is kind of the ending to our one-step problems. When you start number 10, we're going to start two-steppers. And I need you to think about this. There is PEMDAS. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. You got to keep that in your brain. Okay? So, going back to what we did back here, first fill it in. We've got 9 plus 2y. Well, that means 9 plus 2 times y is 8. Okay, so there's the math problem. Now, I need you to stop. Look, that 2 up against that 8 right there, that means multiply. Not parentheses. Think about it as multiply. Okay, so there's no parentheses officially. There's no exponents. Is there multiply or divide? Yes, multiply. So I'm looking. Multiply, divide, multiply, divide, multiply, divide. Whoop, there it is. There's the multiply. I got to do that first. 2 times 8 is 16. If I add the 9, I only have one step left, which is add or subtract, which is 25. If you did 88 for your answer, you didn't use order of operations. You did 9 plus 2 first and then multiply. This is why someone came up with order of operations, because your answer looks right. I mean, you come up with an 88, and I mean, that's a normal number. But they had to come up with a way that we all get the same answer. So they came up with PEMDAS or GEMDAS, whatever you want to call it. Everybody good on that one? Okay. Let's look at the next one. Look at number 11. Okay, 6x minus 3 if x equals 4. Okay, 6 times 4 minus 3 is the way it should look. Now, why do you do it first? That's well, because it means multiply. So think about it this way. And this is a hard thing to understand because we're drawing it as parentheses. But for this P in parentheses, they officially mean something like 2 plus 7 or 12 times 8 inside the parentheses. Okay? Think about this as whenever you just see the two numbers, try your brain to think of that as multiply. So, it is the same thing though. So you're hitting multiply or divide first. 6 times 4 is 24. And then the only thing left is a minus 3, which is easy, so it's 21. Okay, You could use the dot. It's fine. Don't use an X. Don't use an X. So, okay. Right. Well, no, because your X, you'll get confused between X as a variable and X as a time sign. Okay? Well, because it's used all the time. So, drop the multiplication sign. Okay, number 12, 42n minus 31 if n is 4. So, 42 times 4 minus 31. I got to do this multiply first because of order of operations. I get 168 minus 31 is 137. Everybody good on that one? Okay. Okay, next one is b equals 6. So if I put a 6 here, divide by 3, plus there's another b. b is 6. Listen, think about it. Order of operations. Please, there's no parentheses. Excuse, there's no exponents. Multiply or divide. Multiply or divide, multiply or divide, multiply or divide, multiply. Whoop, I got to do that first. 6 divided by 3 is 2. Copy the rest of the problem. Now the only thing left is add, so it's 8. Because of order of operations. Please excuse, it's multiply or divide from left to right. Then it's add or subtract from left to right. But you've got to get rid of all the multiply divide first, then get rid of all the add and subtract. Okay? So look at 14. 14's got a few different operations. So, J is 14. So, I got 5. Let's see. 4 times 14 divided by 7 plus 14, because there's another J. Please calm. Stop, please. Here we go. So, here we go. Parentheses, no, because I need this to mean multiply. Exponents, no. Now, watch. Listen. Multiply or divide from left to right. Multiply or divide, multiply or divide, multiply or whoop. I got to do that first because that means multiply. So 5 times 14 is 70. Copy the rest of the problem. One step at a time. You can't do any more. Okay, I still got multiply or divide. So multiply or divide, multiply or divide, whoop, there it is. Got to do that division next. 70 divided by 7. 10. Plus 14. 24. There's only one step there. Okay, go for it.
I like 7 plus J, so we don't times.
No, because that's plus.
Is the C or 0?
1 second. Go ahead. Like it's plus. Does that make sense? That's the only multiplication at 5J. Okay? It's a lot because here's the deal, guys. On these math problems, there's so many different kinds, it takes just practicing. Shh, guys, listen. Let's look at 15. Here we go. H to the third power. 5 to the third power means 5 times 5 times 5. What is the answer to 15? 125. It is not 15. Please look at your 15 if you've gone ahead of me and make sure you've got this right. 125. Okay, number 16. We've got A is 7. So if it's 80 minus 7 squared, what should we do first? 7 squared. 7 times 7 is 49. 80 minus 49 is 31. Please check your 15 and 16. A lot of you have gone ahead of me. I'm kind of worried. I don't want you to continue missing them if you've already missed it. It does work. I'll be there in just a second. Okay. If y is 2, okay, so I have 2 to the 4th power plus 3 times 2. Okay, order of operations. What should I do first? The first one. 2 to the 4th power is 16 plus 3 times 2. What should I do now? 3 times 2, which is 6. 16 plus 6. 22. Okay. Going into 18. Okay. Please listen. Here we go. 3m plus m squared. And m is 10. So, 3 times 10 plus 10 to the 2nd power. Okay. What should we do first? Yes, I'm not there yet. I wish y'all would wait on me. 2nd power, right. We got to do the exponents. 10 to the 2nd power is 100. 10 times 10. Okay. Now that I've got the exponent gone, what do I do next? Times. 3 times 10. 30. Plus 100. 130. Now, going into 19, if you have negative answers for this year, and only this year, something's wrong, guys. You didn't do order of operations, or you didn't add or multiply right, or something. Yes, your future has negative answers, just not right now, okay? Now, it says d to the 5th power minus 12d. If d is 2, so 2 to the 5th power minus 12 times 2. Okay, does everybody get that? What should I do first? The exponents. Exponents before multiply. Please excuse. E, exponents. No, it is not 10. What is 2 to the 5th power? 2 times 2 is 4. Times 2 is 8. Times 2 is 16. Times 2 is 32. Listen, it's not 10. It is 32. Minus 12 times 2, which is 24. You got to do multiply before you can do the subtraction. 32 minus 24 is 8. There is only one answer. And if you do it out of order, something's up. You cannot do 2 steps at one time. You have to show, like, you can only get rid of one operation per row. Don't try to shorten it, guys. Yes. Go ahead. On number 20, you've got K is 4. So, 3 times 4 plus 4 squared plus 4 divided by 2. Great example of order of operations. Okay. Please, for the P for parentheses, don't think about this as multiply. Exponents. Yes, we need to do 4 squared, which is 4 times 4, guys. 16. Copy the rest of the problem. Okay. Now, what is next? Multiply or divide. So multiply, divide, multiply, divide, multiply, divide. Whoop, got to do that first. From left to right. 12. Copy the rest of the problem. Okay, what now?
Add those two.
No. Multiply or divide, multiply or divide, multiply or divide, multiply or divide. Whoop, there's division. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. Copy the rest of the problem. Okay, there's only addition left. Add or subtract, add or subtract, add or subtract. Add those. Oh, wait a minute, wrong thing.
It is 30 though. Yeah, it's 30.
28 plus 2 is 30. Listen, if you do it out of order, you will get them wrong probably. Now, I need you to flip it over because I'm going to show you some hints. If you will look. The top part, yes, you can probably fit on this paper. Notice that M is supposed to equal 6 and N is supposed to equal 12. Okay? My problem is this. When it says notebook paper, I really, 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 really wish on these you might need notebook paper unless you can write the right size. I just don't want to see it crammed too bad. Okay? Try to make it neat. Here's all the letters that you need. A, B, and C. Now, for today, mark out the 2 word problems. We are going to work on those tomorrow. Okay? We're going to work on those tomorrow. But for right now, try these. If you don't try them, we don't know what you have issues with. Okay. Thank you.